everyone, I am Noelle with Noelle Rollins Art. This video series is called The Path Forward, and it's all about learning from loss, times of change, tough times. I want to share today a chapter from my book, and it's called The Weeks After. And it was all about when the world kind of came calling back for me and crashing in, and it just felt really tough. The shock was starting to wear off of what had happened. So I want to walk you through that and see if anything that I learned or observations I've had from others that I share in the book can help you, or even give you the knowledge that you can help someone else when they are in that path or that position. So this is the book. It's available on Amazon. All right, this is the artwork I have with this side here. I'll be looking off camera a little bit here. Okay, the weeks after. 3 weeks out from my mom's death, and I was only beginning to feel its realness. After living across the country in Texas years before, I was used to going months without physically seeing my mom and dad. It took a few weeks for my body to fully comprehend that I would not be seeing her again. I had to stop treating myself to a daily iced coffee, caramel mocha. I had sunk about $100 into these drinks over the last couple weeks, and I was noticing my pants getting tighter. I decided I would allow a couple a week. It was the only thing that I would look forward to on the 40-minute drive each morning as I headed to what was my parents' house, but now was only my dad's house. You guys, I remember sitting in the funeral home planning the funeral with my family around, and I was clutching onto my Frappuccino cooler thing. And it was literally like the only thing saving my sanity at that moment, and just savoring it, finding any bit of joy in this otherwise just surreal, arguing with the brother-in-law and a family about what casket, and you're feeling like you're judging your parents' entire life worth based on, do you get the most expensive casket, or do you get pine? Do you get what color stain? Like, these impossible decisions. But I had my iced coffee. It gave me like something. All right. During this time, I worked as a project coordinator for my dad's company. It was an incredibly fascinating job back when life was normal. We would go into companies and analyze their entire process, from when they would get products to when they would ship them. We would write down every keystroke that they made on their computers, every time they took their fingers off the keyboard to touch their mouse, every single step. We would then write up detailed ways for them to simplify and streamline the processes. We would install shipping software and use that to connect their inventory, their contact management systems to the shipping company websites. Basically, like if you order from somewhere online and then they can send you an email and you can track that. Back 15 years ago, it was really new, and that's what we were doing. I loved the work and the variety of the people. My dad owned that company, so it was relatively easy for us to take a few weeks off. Our clients were more than understanding. I continued to work part-time for him for a few months as we slowly put our lives back together in some way that resembled that of functioning people. Barely functioning people. I was also a working artist. I had a big Valentine's Day show scheduled. So my mom passed on January 30th. So 15 days later, I had this big thing where my art was used throughout this entire jazz show. And it was some really big deal for me. But 2 weeks, people, you don't even know what day it is. In a perfectly orchestrated way from above, though, the story about me and my upcoming art show ended up in the same printing of the newspaper as my mom's obituary. Heartbreaking and precious all in one. I have that newspaper saved still. There was a protective bubble around me those first couple months. People sent well wishes, but for the most part gave us space. The 3-month mark is when I felt things crashing in on me. I'd love to hear in the comments when you felt like that moment happened where the bubble popped. Clients that had waited to ask me questions all came calling and messaging at the same time. Some people around me felt like the 3-month mark is long enough and I should be done grieving by then. I wanted to scream, yet the tears would not stop flowing. How could I be healed and done grieving already? It was only beginning to feel real that this had happened. I was starting to come out of survival mode and feel glimpses of real life without my mom around me. I was only 31 years old. How could I imagine this life without her? So this is 12 years ago now. It's interesting what things still trigger the thought of a 31-year-old. I would pick up the phone to call her out of instinct. Only to remember she was not there. All right, I'm going to take a sip of my iced coffee drink and pull it together. I know you guys get it. I promise you, as the years go by, the tears are less and you continue with life, but in a really strange way, when I have reactions like this, I kind of almost want to sit in them because life just keeps flowing. And there isn't that many moments after a decade that just stop you in your tracks and just have you have this moment where you just want your mom. I can't imagine if she was still here. All right. All right, you guys, I got this. All right. My daughter was a preteen, and she needed my focus. Work continued. The world was as sympathetic as they could be. I was now expected to rejoin society. Only I was not ready. I felt as if I had this large ball of twine, only instead of twine, they were thoughts. And it was as if I might finally be able to wrap my hands. Like, I just couldn't gauge how big this thing was. I thought, like, the planner in me, the controlling part of me, that if I could just, like, know how many thoughts to expect, then I could at least kind of grasp on and, like, start going, okay, only 500 left. You know, some sort of predictable and plannable way out of grief. Doesn't happen. All right. I thought if I could see how big this ball was, then I could form a plan of action. I could regain some control again in my life. Looking back, there was not a specific day that I finally felt like I got a full grasp of that ball of thoughts and feelings. It was more gradual. At some point, I felt throughout my body that I could have a memory or feel a moment of wishing she was here, and I did not have to carry the whole ball of feelings along with. I could simply let the feelings be as it is. Let the feeling be as it is. Let it pass through me, thank it, notice it, and keep moving forward. The thought of a memory simply passing through would have devastated me early on. I did not want to be able to let something move through and leave me. I wanted to sit in the sadness for a bit, sit with her, sit in a space of stop time and be with her in my mind. Only the rest of the world kept moving on. It felt unfair, and I did not want to join everyone else in the world that decided things would keep moving. Have you guys ever experienced that? Like driving to a funeral or driving and the world's all just carrying on and you just can't believe that things just continue. Like your whole world stopped and it's as if nothing happened to everyone else. It's heartbreaking. Thankfully, I was able to carve out a little bit of space to mentally sit in. I was a lucky one. Days after my dear friend gave birth to her first child, her mom died. Her world could not stop. Her sweet baby needed her to keep showing up. I hear of people all the time that had a day or two off of work, sometimes a week, and then had to be back trying to function as if their heart had not been ripped outside of their body. I worry that there are too many of us walking around that have never been able to heal. Instead, life had to continue for us. Whether for money reasons or fear of feeling all those feelings, we've had to jump back into a schedule and carry on. Feelings have a way of coming out, and if we do not honor them and heal, too often they control us and will fight their way out at the worst of times later in life. It brings me back to what I shared in the introduction. When we suppress our negative emotions long-term, internally our bodies are still reacting to the emotions, no matter how together we appear on the outside. The results are not good and can even limit our future positive emotions as well. I have a whole thing in the introduction of this book about different studies on the brain that show if you have to be back at work and you can somehow just like suppress those emotions and pretend like you're totally okay, like over and over, how that actually can start to shut down your ability to feel the good things too. It's like you numb yourself, but you also numb the good. Okay, 2 more paragraphs here. I have a different friend who lost her husband to cancer. A few weeks later, she shared that she was going to continue to let herself feel all the sadness, but she was going to keep herself tethered to the other side of grief by doing one thing each day that made her happy. In her case, she had been grieving on some level for months. Her approach may not fit someone who experienced an unexpected loss, but it was perfect for her. She honored herself by knowing her life was not over, and she trusted she would have joy again. She did not force massive amounts of joy. She also did not let sadness swallow her whole. Finding one thing a day to feel happy about may not seem like a big deal to someone who is not in a sad state. However, when the world seems dark and sad, it is the bravest thing to set an intention like that. To find a way, even in those darkest moments, to see happiness in something so beautiful and strong. She inspired me that day. I have held on to her story, inspired by the idea that we are each different, that we can listen to other people handle grief and learn from them. Ultimately, for each of us, it comes down to trusting our own needs and reaching out how we need to. So, the real other side of grief, I guess, right? I'm going to continue making more videos of this Path Forward series. I'm going to read one more chapter. I already did a video where I read another chapter. Just to share a few. I'll put a link to the book if that feels like something you connect with in the comments. But I would love to hear what resonated with you from that story, and also what you found in the weeks after grieving or a really tough situation, or ways, things that helped you. Kind of share that with us, because I think we all can learn, and we all have people around us at different times that go through things where we can help them. So, all right, you guys, thanks for watching. Bye.